I arrived in America, stepping onto foreign soil with a mix of excitement and trepidation. I carried with me a suitcase full of dreams, hopes for a brighter future, and the burning desire to make my mark on this new world. But almost immediately something unexpected happened. Suddenly, no voice. The ability to express myself, so natural back home, seemed to vanish. Back home I was always talking, sharing stories, opinions, and laughter with friends and family. Here in this new land, I became a master of nods and smiles, a language of polite agreement and superficial connection. I found myself hiding behind silence, a shield against the fear of miscommunication and judgment. If I didn't speak, I couldn't make mistakes, couldn't reveal my imperfect grasp of the language, couldn't expose my vulnerabilities. But that safety, that carefully constructed comfort zone, became a lonely cage, trapping me in isolation. My world shrank: work, home, TV. I watched people speak with ease, effortlessly connecting with one another, while I rehearsed coffee orders, practicing the simplest interactions in front of the mirror, and still panicked at the thought of uttering even those few, carefully chosen words. I was present, physically there in the room, but not participating, an observer, rather than a participant in my own life. A ghost in the machine, a silent observer of American life, watching the world go by without truly being a part of it. People were kind, offering smiles and gestures of goodwill, but you can't connect, not really, with someone who only plays charades, someone who communicates only through gestures and forced smiles. My silence wasn't just quiet, it wasn't peaceful or contemplative. It was a lack of connection, a barrier between me and the world, a lack of me, a void where my voice should have been. 6 years passed like this, a blur of silent days and lonely nights. 6 years of being the quiet guy, the one who never spoke unless absolutely necessary, avoiding calls, letting them go to voicemail rather than face the awkwardness of a conversation, pointing at menus, relying on gestures to navigate the simplest of transactions. I'd crossed the world, traveled thousands of miles, for a new life, a chance at reinvention, only to build a smaller, quieter cage for myself, a prison of my own making. The silence was deafening, a constant hum of loneliness and regret. And I was the one, the only one, conducting the orchestra of my own isolation, orchestrating my own quiet despair. The fear wasn't just about making mistakes, about the possibility of stumbling and falling in front of others. It was about the aftermath, the lingering feeling of shame, the replay of the moment in your mind over and over again. I once tried to ask for the location of an aisle at a store, a simple request, or so it should have been, but what came out was islay. The word just twisted on its way out. The employee just stared, a blank, uncomprehending look on their face, and I wanted to disappear, to be swallowed up by the floor, to cease to exist in that moment. These moments piled up, one on top of the other, creating a mountain of anxiety, each one a reminder. Don't risk it, just stay quiet, it's safer that way. I tried telling a joke at work, thinking it would lighten the mood, build camaraderie. The punchline flopped, landing with a thud in the silent space. And I got the pity smile, that forced, uncomfortable expression of polite sympathy. That smile is worse than laughter, because it highlights the failure, the awkwardness, the pity. So, I stopped trying. I gave up on the possibility of connection. My brain made a rule, a strict, unwavering guideline for all future interactions: only speak when absolutely necessary, when there was no other option, when silence was impossible. Yes, no, thank you. Safe words only. The bare minimum required to navigate the world. The fear paralyzed me, holding me captive in a prison of my own making. I was losing the witty, engaging part of myself, the spark that made me, me. Every interaction became a negotiation, a constant internal debate. Should I speak? Is it worth the risk? What if I mess up? What if I say the wrong thing? Most times, I stayed quiet, choosing silence over the potential for embarrassment. It was the path of least embarrassment, the safest, most predictable route, but also least connection, a lonely road paved with unspoken words. I built walls to protect myself, to shield myself from the potential for ridicule and shame, but those walls kept everyone out, isolating me in my own self-made fortress. The fear of a single word was costing me the world, all the possibilities, connections, and joys it held. It was a terrible price for the illusion of safety, a false sense of security that was ultimately more damaging than any potential embarrassment. The turning point wasn't dramatic, it was a simple question from my coworker Sarah. We were working late. She turned to me and asked, "What do you think?" No one had asked for my opinion in years. My instinct was to shrug and say something generic. But she waited, genuinely curious. For the first time I felt seen. I missed being asked for my thoughts, for a piece of my mind. Her question was an invitation to step out of my silent prison. I took a breath and answered. Slowly, awkwardly, but honestly. She listened. She thanked me for my idea. That moment broke the dam. I realized I couldn't live in silence anymore. I had to find my voice again. Not for anyone else, but for me. Sarah's question reminded me I had something worth saying. Sometimes all it takes is one person asking, "What do you think?" Deciding to change was one thing, figuring out how was another. I needed a way to practice without an audience. So I invented my own daily audio ritual. Every day on my commute, I'd listen to a short audio clip. News, podcasts, TED Talks. First, I'd just listen. Then I'd read along with the transcript, noticing rhythm and intonation. The third step, shadowing. I'd pause after each sentence and repeat it out loud, mimicking the speaker. At first, I felt ridiculous, muttering to myself on the bus. But I kept at it. It was about building muscle memory, teaching my mouth the music of the language. This became my sanctuary. No judgment, no pity smiles, just me and the audio. I could make mistakes, repeat sentences, and slowly rebuild my confidence. This simple ritual became my secret weapon against silence. The change at first felt almost imperceptible. It was a slow burn, a quiet shift happening beneath the surface. For weeks I practiced, diligently carving out time each day. It became a ritual, a non-negotiable part of my routine, without noticing much difference. There were days when I felt like I was getting nowhere, stuck in a cycle of repetition with no tangible reward. But slowly, ever so slowly, the words felt more natural, less forced. They began to flow with a newfound ease, like a stream finding its course. The fear shrank, receding into the background like a fading shadow, and confidence grew, blossoming like a flower reaching for the sun. The real test came. The moment of truth arrived, in a team meeting. My boss asked for ideas, opening the floor for contributions from everyone. My heart pounded, a frantic drumbeat against my ribs, but I spoke up. I raised my hand, took a deep breath, and plunged in. My accent was there, a clear marker of my origins, maybe a mistake or two, a stumble here, a mispronounced word there. But the words came out, tumbling forth with surprising clarity. And the world didn't end. The sky didn't fall. My boss nodded, a subtle gesture of encouragement. "That's interesting. Tell me more." I did, elaborating on my idea with growing confidence. That moment was everything. It was a turning point, a pivotal shift in my journey. Proof my secret training was working, that all those hours of practice were finally paying off. Each small victory, each tiny step forward built on the last, a foundation of incremental progress. Small talk in the coffee line, those casual exchanges, answering the phone, each ring a chance to connect, sharing ideas, contributing to the collective conversation. The 6 years of silence, the long period of voicelessness, were real, a tangible part of my history. The fear was real, a constant companion that shadowed my every move. But so was the change, the transformation that bloomed from the seeds of perseverance. Listening and repeating, the simple act of mimicking sounds, didn't just teach me English, it did so much more than that. It gave me back my voice, returning to me a fundamental part of myself. If you're living in silence, if you're struggling to find your voice, maybe it can help you too. Perhaps this journey can offer some guidance. No pressure, take your time. But it's worth a try. It's worth taking that first step.